All right, so just a quick look at how to draw this. This is exercise 9.49, problem 4. I've got a PDF of it attached here in a DWF, so this will be what we're drawing today. And if I were to go to design review, I have a nice little model of it. And if you actually notice there, I have the volume too, so you can kind of check and see what is correct. And if you're navigating around, you may notice it's actually moving in place. You can just go back to the ISO view and you should be able to see it perfect. So yeah, this is what we're going for. And I'll explain, how to do it step by step, but just a general overview. We're starting the sketch on the top face. From there, I'm just, the way I'm going to show you how to do it will be offsetting a plane from the origin plane, the top plane, and giving it a specified value, drawing a sketch on that plane. And essentially, it's the square end and the circular end. Doing the lofted flange command to then create the shape. And then, after that, it just needs a rip in order to be able to unfold. And then you can create the flat pattern. Okay, so let's dig in. Now, in this case, this part is not a sheet metal part yet, so I need to convert it to sheet metal. And from there, I'm just going to sketch on the top face origin plane. I'm gonna move this out of the way so I can actually see it. Same with this guy. Okay. You could choose to draw this wherever you wanted. I'm actually going to do a center for the bottom. So when I'm doing planes, they'll bisect this part, not the other one. You could, go and finagle it into place if you wanted to have the other one, but that would be a lot more work. All right, so I've got my overall shape of 1.74 by 2.5. I can finish the sketch. Oops. I'll do an offset from plane. And the height is 3.5. All right. So I'm going to draw a sketch on that same plane, rotate it so that it's showing top correctly. And let's see. The circle is 1.24 in diameter. And it's tangent to this other sketch. So if you notice I do tangent, I can't actually do anything about projecting that edge. So I have to do project geometry first. Then I can apply the tangent, and then all we'll need to do is locate the circle vertically. So I'll do a horizontal constraint between the origin and the center point of the circle. I'll finish sketch. I'll turn off the visibility of that work plane. And you know what? I'm going to go back and select this yellow line and change that to construction. That way it's not so apparent and it doesn't grab it when I'm using other features. So from here, you could create this two different ways, but the problem is you can't use the rip command if you don't use the sheet metal options in this case. Sometimes you can do a regular flange and shell it, and it'll allow you to do the stuff that you need it to, but for this part it doesn't. The round contour, I guess, gives it problems. So we will do a lofted flange. And before I do that, actually, I forgot to set my sheet metal defaults. So this one is based out of the book, so let's take a look. In the original book, it's just a regular part, obviously, but in order to have this general shape, the settings we'll use is 0.1046. Set this to steel mild. And then the bend radius is also 0.1046. I'm going to leave it actually as boo. One more again. So bend will leave its thickness. K factor I know is already set to 0.44, so we'll just change that miter / rip size to 0.0625. And now we will choose 2 profiles. And so here's a part to observe. If you look closely at the profile, it extends outside of it. You can kind of tell if you look upside down a little better. So I'm going to flip the direction so it matches the extents of the outside. And it does the same up here. You can kind of notice, so it's a little crazy looking. If I were to hit apply, it would it'd make this wild shape, and it has all these little folds. It looks a little crazy on the ends usually. It's not too bad in this case. Yeah, down here. Okay, so down here you see like a little deformation. And this is part of when you do it like that. Honestly, depending on where you're doing sheet metal stuff, this may be how it comes out, because there's 2 embedded options in how it's made. And I can only actually show you by deleting the feature and re-adding it, which is kind of lame. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so there's 2 different design choices. If you look over here at output, you have die formed and press break. So press break is whenever you intend to more or less kind of fold this incrementally, because all you can do is make folds. Whereas die formed, you can do a lot more. As you can see, the bends are kind of less visible. If I click between the 2, you can see there's less edges. So we've got it in the maximum extent there, and I'll hit apply. So typically for most of these that I do, it'll be that die formed option, but you can see it comes out much smoother, and it has very, very perfect, lovely edges. It still has the deformation down here, but it's actually a smaller footprint. And then, the last thing to do essentially is to add a rip so we can unfold this. So I'll do a sketch on the bottom. When you're looking at, whoops, bad click. When you're looking at the easiest place to make a rip, it really varies. But I know that from experience, if you do it from the top, it is hard to make it work. And how do you decide that? Well, that's a good question. So with an area like this, it's very flat. It's this sketch on the bottom face is going to be perpendicular to the rest of the part. If I did it up here, you've got a little curvature going on, if you can see. So that makes it a bad candidate. So we want somewhere that has a true, orthographic style or position, within your geometry. So for this one, I will just use let's go with the longer, or the shorter side here. I'm kind of moving it in a weird position so you can see what I'm actually doing here, but I'm going to draw a point. And do a horizontal constraint with that point to what is actually the center. It's a weird position for the dot, but that is the center of where we're at. Then I can just do a rip command, choose the outside face, and that point, they overlap, so it projects as cut through. And I can hit OK. So after that, you can unfold it. Again, there's a couple ways to go about that. But, I don't know why I actually clicked it. You can use the unfold and refold commands, but I always just say, unless you have to, don't bother. It used to be back in the day, you could unfold it, do some manual cuts on it, and refold it. But for what we're doing, just click the create a flat pattern, and there's a flat pattern. Easy peasy. So that's going to be it. If anybody's having any questions about this one, just let me know.